Greetings, vinyl community. Welcome back. It's good to be back. I hope everyone out there is doing well. I want to say really quickly, I want to say thank you to everyone who's been subscribing. Everyone who's been watching my videos, I appreciate it more than you probably will ever know. So thank you once again from the heart. I think that's where my heart is. Some people say I have no heart, but they're wrong. I can feel it pulsating slightly. You know what? Let's start this off right. Cheers, everyone. It's not freezing cold today, so it's cause for celebration, and I wish this was more than coffee, but it's coffee. You guys know me. All right, let's get right to this. This video today, it's everywhere. It's all over the map. It's as I flipped through the vinyl to show you, well, as I flipped through it before I was recording this video, I realized it is everywhere. And I guess that's kind of atypical of my videos, but it's really all over the map today. So, you know, if you hang tight, chances are you're going to see something you're probably vaguely interested in. It's a mix of new vinyl and a lot of thrift store vinyl. So, you know what? Once again, because I'll probably have a story or two in me, might as well drink up now. Cheers. All right. Let's start with some new vinyl. I got this in the mail, well, somewhere in between my last video and this video. I'm just going to show it to you, then I'll probably talk about it, because you probably will, maybe, some of you might know this. It's a band called Lords of Acid, and it's their first album called Lust. And if you're a regular viewer of my records, if you view my records, which you're not allowed to. You're not allowed into that room over there. Okay, if you came over, I'd show you my records. If you're a regular viewer of my videos, more like it, I talk a lot about going to clubs when I was young. It was a really good time to go to clubs in the late 80s, early 90s. One night would be like a rave club. One night would be a punk gig at a community hall. But Lords of Acid, that plays into the early raves that I would go to, late 80s, early 90s. This album in particular was maybe one of the first albums that was like an introduction for me into that style of music, rave music. And it's one of those rare albums of the time of that music. This is, they're from Belgium, and there was a whole Belgian scene at the time called New Beat, where they slowed the rhythm down. It was a more pulsating sound. And this album in particular has a lot of naughty lyrics. So if you want to sample Lords of Acid Lust, just hang tight, because it's not for the faint of heart, lyrically speaking. But as I was going to spit out here, or say, it's one of those albums that it's a great album from beginning to end, where a lot of full-length albums from those artists at the time were one good song, two good songs, and the rest were just, let's cobble together some songs, we get an album out because we have a club hit. That's kind of the feel that's the feeling I always had about like LA Style, who did James Brown Is Dead. They cobbled an album together, and they had like one or two good songs, and the rest were utterly embarrassing, in my opinion. Anyways, Lords of Acid Lust. I've been watching this for a while. You know, I get a hankering to relive those days every now and again. Those days where you would dance for 3-4 hours, seemingly in a row. And believe me, you wouldn't believe looking at me, but I was that guy, dancing unapologetically for 3-4 hours in a row to this new kind of music. And I'm talking too much about it, but I can't say enough about enough good things for Lords of Acid Lust. If you're into that kind of music. Their second album, called Voodoo You, oddly enough, was released on Rick Rubin's Deaf American label. But it's a little slight departure, but this one is pure rave music. Lords of Acid Lust. Really, really happy to get a copy of this one. It's a double vinyl record reissue, limited to, what is it, 500 copies. So, very, very happy to get that. Where am I going to go with this one? All right, let's go with this one. There's going to be a lot of jokes in the comment section, possibly, when I tell you that I just got Morrissey tickets yesterday. He's playing my city in April. He's doing his first ever cross-Canada country tour Well, at least his first one in 20 years, ever since he said he would never come to Canada again over our seal hunting laws, I believe it was. And I guess he must need some money because he's foregone his I guess he's forgotten about his morals, and he's playing Canada again, right across Canada. And I know the jokes will be he won't show up, he'll cancel, da 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 da. In my opinion, it's a win-win situation where if he plays, great. I get to hear some Smith songs live, some Morrissey stuff live, and I can cross that one off my list of people I've never seen before. And if he cancels, great, get my money back. So I picked this one up because I'd never had it on vinyl, and I went to a local store called Listen Records in Edmonton. If you are local, you'll probably know Listen. They carry a lot of really off-the-wall things, but they had a copy of this in stock, and I thought, oh, I don't have it. It's Morrissey's Your Arsenal. Notable for the fact that I think it might be one of his finest solo album. A lot of people might debate that, but this one is produced by Mick Ronson from The Spider of Mars, David Bowie. And he produced this album, and I would side with this probably is his best solo album, although his last album is pretty damn good. And there's a few other good ones in there too. But you know what? Your Arsenal I picked up just because I could. And like I said, if he plays, great. If he doesn't, oh well, I'll get my money back. It's a win-win. All right. I got one more new record to show you. And I was hesitant to show you this because it's a genre of music that I don't delve into a whole lot, and it kind of causes a lot of ill will with people. But I got to preface this with a really quick story. I know some of you like my stories, some of you don't. That's why there's a slider there. When you see me hold a record up, my story's done. Let's flash back once again, because my life's all about flashbacks at this point. Let's go back to the mid-2000s to the late 2010, like 2005, 2010. I ran a record store in my city for 10 years, and then I ended up owning a store. And on both occasions, and before that, I had managed lots of other stores, but I had a good long run at this record store. And my right-hand man was a guy named Clint. Clint was my assistant manager for 10 years, and then he became my partner in this record store. And we used to fill in, we'd fill in, but we had kind of like a semi-regular residency on a lunchtime radio show on our university radio station, CJSR 88.5. That's the university radio station here in Edmonton. And we used to do Heavy Metal Lunchbox, it was called. We would fill in. During summertime, we'd fill in a lot more when the regular host was gone. But I know the story is dragging on. Anyways, I would play more of the kind of just stuff you would know, thrashy stuff. But he played a lot of real sludge stuff, the slower stuff. Stuff like Vinyl in the Van, if you watch his channel, stuff that he plays a lot of. But he would also play a lot of black metal, and that's the genre I'm going to talk about really quickly. A lot of people just kind of associate that kind of music with Cookie Monster vocals, as they call it. And he would play a lot of it, so I would get, and plays at the record store too, he would play a lot of it. I miss Clint. I haven't seen him in a while. But he was my right-hand man for about 12, 13 years. And we had a good chemistry in the radio. We would do this radio show. And a lot of that music kind of, I kind of realized if you can get past the vocals, the music underneath it, a lot of it is really, really good if you're into that kind of music. So not that I own a lot of that music, it kind of stuck with me, and I was kind of feeling a little bit nostalgic for those days. And then there's a movie opening up in my city, kind of worldwide. I think it's playing for 1 or 2 dates in the cinemas coming up end of January. Oh, it's end of February. Called Lords of Chaos, about a band called Mayhem. And it's quite an interesting, horrible story if you delve into the story of Mayhem, or if you see the movie. Just very, very tragic story of that band. But they still live to this day, minus a couple of members who were killed or suicide. It's that kind of band. They were associated with church burnings and whatnot. It was all gimmicky, bullshit nonsense. But that's one of those bands, and this is kind of why I hesitate to show this album, because it's not that it's controversial, but their prior association with the prior topics I was talking about in the late 1990s, early 2000s, puts people off this kind of music, or this band anyways. But you know what? Saw this at a local record store, and then I kind of, the full concert video is on YouTube, and it reminded me of Clint, of the radio show. And it reminded me that if you kind of get past those vocals, there's a lot of good music to be heard if you're into that kind of music. So I picked up a copy of Mayhem. That was a long way to get to Mayhem, wasn't it? I gotta tell a story. Anyways, Mayhem. This is when was this recorded? This was like not that long ago, a few years ago. They did their first album in its entirety, and I hesitate to pronounce the name of the album. De Mysterious Dom Satanis. Alive. I guess they tagged on the word alive to indicate that it's a live album of that whole album, their first album, and this is really good if you're into that kind of music. And I'm not sure if the diversity that I listen to is off-putting to some, but I listen to a little bit of everything. But I picked this up, just good memories of doing that radio show, of days gone by when I was involved in the record retail business. But Clint, you'll never see this, but Clint introduced me to a lot of music, country music, hip-hop, stuff like this, kind of sludge metal stuff, doom metal stuff. So anyways, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If Clint wants to make a rebuttal video, I'm sure he'd say the same thing. I think I'm gonna hit me with this album. But anyways, Mayhem. I don't, like I said, I'm unaware of any viewer of my videos that would be into that, but transparency of what I'm buying, I guess. We're gonna get a thrift store vinyl. It's like, so once again, much like the new vinyl I just showed you, this is all over the map, and I'm into 12 minutes and 43 seconds right now. We're gonna breeze through this. I found this actually today at a local store, local thrift store. If you can see that, $2.99 for a really nice condition copy of Kiss Rock and Roll Over. Do I need another copy of this? Nope. Was I gonna leave it behind? Hell no. So Kiss Rock and Roll Over, that was our thrift store find today, and I think that was my only thrift store find today, as the dog days of winter drag on and the vinyl finds are becoming a little bit less and less and less. But Kiss Rock and Roll Over, that might be my screenshot, because I've not done a Kiss screenshot before. There you go. Anyways, shout out, by the way, to a band called Chicks Dig It in Calgary. They used to be on Sub Pop Records, actually, oddly enough. I've booked them a few times at a venue I used to work at, booking bands. I'm not sure who's in Calgary, who remembers Chicks Dig It. I think they were on Fat Records after Sub Pop, but Chicks Dig It. Digging out my old shirts. Just some standard stuff. Well, this is, you know what, I'm going to skip by the standard stuff. I'm going to get to this. I found some jazz albums, which is kind of, I always talk when I find jazz, it's really rare finds, or rare to find, stuff like that. But this one's a total blind buy, and it's on ECM Records, Abercrombie Quartet on ECM Records. Don't know anything about it, but it was in a batch of records I found. I wasn't going to leave it behind. It's got some kind of little bit of value to it, so that's why I picked it up. Abercrombie Quartet. It gets better, trust me. Keith Jarrett. I was excited to find this one. He's one of those kind of rare jazz people that I've kind of grown into liking his music. This is a double album called The Colne Concerts. And you wouldn't believe it, but this had such bad black ringware on it, like everywhere, that I hesitated buying it, and I was able to do a really nice cleanup on it. If you can see, Do you see? I don't see ringwear. I'm getting pretty good at cleaning up record covers, but there you go. Keith Jarrett, the Cone Concerts. The vinyl's nice regardless. Chick Corea, this is one of his early albums, 1972. This is part of that jazz, I guess, little mini haul. Chick Corea on Return to Ever. This is Light as a Feather. Features, I believe, Stanley Clarke on bass on this album. One of those albums, like I said, I haven't heard this yet, but I've heard his other stuff. So, nice find there. So I think that might be it for the jazz stuff. We're going to go from everywhere. We're going to go from like rave music to black metal to Morrissey to Kiss to jazz to Emmylou Harris. Copy of Profile 2, the best of Emmylou Harris. This is kind of, well, this is the sequel to her first greatest hits called Profile. This is really, really good album. It's one of those albums that, well, Emmylou Harris was a staple of the record store I was telling you about earlier that I worked at for 10 years, or ran for 10 years. One of our best-selling artists. That's what kind of store it was. But Blue Kentucky Girl's on this one, Wayfaring Stranger. It's just really good. I mean, Emmylou Harris, you can't go wrong with her, in my opinion. Emmylou Harris, Profile 2. I've never had this on vinyl. Now I do. Elliott Randall. You're gonna, I don't know, this may be fast forward this one, but don't. Elliott Randall, 1969 on Polydor, called Randall's Island. And who is Elliott Randall, you might ask? Well, he was a guitar player, I guess still is. And he's better known for his appearances on other people's albums. Although this is a pretty decent kind of a blues rock album. Some coverware. I'm going to say this once again. I don't play the cover. Wish I could, but I don't. Well, you're not going to know him for this, but he played on a lot of Steely Dan albums. That you probably don't know this, but go to his Wikipedia page, Elliott Randall. You'll see a list of all the tracks he's played on as a guest musician. But he played the guitar solo on "Reeling in the Years" by Steely Dan, their biggest hit, and a bunch of other Steely Dan albums, and a lot of other albums all over the map. I just picked this up out of curiosity at a thrift store for a buck or $1 or $2, whatever it was. Really, it's, you know what, it's a pretty decent blues rock album, but I think he's better known for his studio work. What do we got coming up here? You know, some bog standard stuff. There's no rhyme or reason to this, but you know what, Foreigner Double Vision. I'm sure I've had this on vinyl in the past, but here's a really stupid reason for picking this up. I just watched the documentary Sound City again. I hope you guys know that the documentary Sound City, done by Dave Grohl, about the famous studio in Los Angeles. And I watch that once a month or so. It's one of my favorite documentaries, at least the first half of it. When they go into making, the documentary kind of stops, and then they kind of document them making this album with artists who recorded at Sound City. That part I don't care about. The front part of the documentary is awesome, and I'm not on a quest, but when I'm kind of wanting is, I'm trying to explain this properly now. I'm picking up albums recorded at Sound City. Let's put it that way, just to see if what they say is true about the drum sound and about the sound of the studio. And this is recorded at Sound City, so that's kind of the reason why I picked it up, just to kind of give it a spin, to see if the Sound City magic was all over it. RedSeven. RedSeven was a band in the 80s. This is actually a promo copy. You can see the gold stamp promo copy there. This was a band put together by Mike Rutherford of Genesis, and he produced this album. Very un-Genesis-like, in my opinion, but you know, it was in a stack of vinyl. It's not the greatest album on earth, but you guys have probably seen this in a million cutout bins or dollar bins, but you know, it's a decent listen if you're a fan of Genesis or Mike Rutherford. RedSeven, once again dropping albums. Some Eagles albums again. I'm not going to leave them behind. I'm always able to find homes to them. Yet another copy of Hotel California, really nice copy. I always have people to take this off my hands, but for a couple of bucks, I'll pick that up every day of the week. And then, of course, the Eagles' first album. This might be an upgrade to the one I have, actually. And I actually like this album. I'm not the hugest Eagles fan on earth. I've talked about this before. But once again, much like Sound City, I really do like the Eagles documentary that was on Netflix, I believe. It's on DVD too. It's a long one. It's like, what, 4 hours? 5 hours maybe. But you don't have to like the music of the Eagles to kind of like the documentary, because it shows what a dysfunctional band that was. But also a very magical band, how they kind of created together, and all the excess that a band goes through in the 70s. But kind of grown to like this album. Their first album has Witchy Woman on it, Take It Easy. Peaceful, Easy Feeling, I guess. But Eagles' first album. Then another copy of No Jacket Required. Once again, like Hotel California, I always know someone who wants this album, who wants to have In the Air Tonight on vinyl. Why not? Renaissance, this is kind of where it takes a little bit of a turn. Renaissance, the kind of somewhat progressive rock band. This is their 1979 album called Azur d'Or. You can tell I took French for 12 years, which I did. Wouldn't be able to tell. Nice, this is the textured sleeve. Textured sleeve. Even on the back it's textured sleeve. Like I said, like a lot of bands I'm showing you, this is on Sire Records, oddly enough. Probably one of the weirder bands they ever had on their label, like Focus was on Sire Records. Not the biggest Renaissance fan, but enough that I have not heard this album before, so I'll pick it up for a thrift store price. Renaissance, Azur d'Or from 1979 on Sire Records. This is probably the fourth copy of this album I've shown you, and I keep on finding homes for them. I had no idea I could find it. I found 4 copies in the last year, but a copy of Babe Ruth's First Base on Harvest Records. I think I've previously shown you a UK first pressing, and then it was a nice Canadian copy I found, and this is another nice Canadian copy I found on Harvest Records. Really good album. If you've never heard this album, pick it up. It's pretty decent. I don't know if I'll get to this album. That might be a little bit more explaining that I have time for today. Journey, In the Beginning. This is a double album compilation of all their kind of pre-Steve Perry stuff when they were a San Francisco jam band. Those first 3 or 4 albums they did with Greg Rowley on vocals, Ainsley Dunbar on drums, Neil Sean. Let's see if I can remember everyone in Journey. And I'm blanking on the bass player. Damn it. One of you will tell me. But they were, you guys all know, before Steve Perry, they were this kind of heavy jam band, kind of like a Santana type thing, which is where they came from. But this is a decent double album collection, actually, of their early material. I have all their early albums, but I got it in a double album form. I don't know if I'll show you this one. You know what? Let's get to this, because time is running out for my ability to. You try talking through a 30-minute video without stopping. Try to see how hard it is. Cheers. It's not easy. I got some Frank Sinatra albums. This is where it goes all over the map. I got a really, really nice copy of Strangers in the Night. I probably did pick these up to probably flip, to be honest with you. But you know what? I'm gonna play test them. This is a mono pressing actually of Strangers in the Night. You know what? I might play them through. I play test everything I buy from thrift stores. Who knows? Maybe something will stick with me. Like the black metal Mayhem. Maybe something like this will stick with me. Frank Sinatra, Strangers in the Night. A copy of this is like an old album. Is an old Columbia album. That Old Feeling. Don't know much about it. I think it's a compilation, actually, to be honest with you. But That Old Feeling, I think it's like late 50s original pressing, That Old Feeling by Frank Sinatra. And then this one, this was part of the 3-album haul of Frank Sinatra stuff. This is Frank Sinatra, The World We Knew Over and Over This Town. I don't even know what this, actually, that's got to be the title of this album. You know what? Let's do something unprecedented. What is the actual title of this album? It's, you know what? I love this label. This is one of my favorite labels. Is the black Reprise Records label. I love that label, and I don't know why. Anyways, it's called The World We Knew. There you go. I don't even know what year this is, but I love that black Reprise Records label. There you go. I've opened up to you, and I've given you some personal information. So now we're bonded. I don't even know about showing the cover. Frank Sinatra, The World We Knew. I'll play test that later today just to kind of see if anything sticks. You know what? The rest of the stuff, there's about 5 or 6 things since I've seen you last that I might just park. I might show you this one just cuz. This is a promo copy. See the sample? Sample? A sample pressing of. I don't think anyone's hung on this long. So you know what? I'll show you. It's from the Sesame Street Fever album, from the Sesame Street Disco album, and I've never seen the 7-inch before. It's Fever and Trash by the Sesame Street Muppets, and I think Robin Gibb from the Bee Gees is on it. But I found this as a sample copy at a thrift store for $1, and was like, it might be fun to listen to. I used to love. Who did love Sesame Street and the Muppets back in the 70s or the 80s? Maybe even now. Who knows? But I show that knowing that no one has hung out this long on my video to see it. So I don't care. We're going to end this right now. I want to say thank you once again. If you've made it through this video, if you've made it even halfway through, I appreciate it. Leave a comment if you want. Because of my work schedule, I try to answer everyone I can in the middle of the night when I'm working, but I'll try my best to get back to you. Apart from that, I would like to promise you certain videos that I have in mind, but they never seem to come to fruition, just because of circumstance. I'm trying to make a new updated video of my music room tour. A couple other particular videos I have about certain albums I'm trying to do. Who knows? But that's the great thing about my videos. You just never know what the hell you're gonna get. Anyways, hope this was an okay one for you. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Peace.